Hey, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So around 29 people have joined. Okay. Yeah, let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Sukumar. So I would be taking classes for you. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Before we start on with the classes, okay, I would like to know a little bit of introduction about you. Okay. So particularly, you have any other PGs, or if you have done PGs, okay, what backgrounds you have generally, so that we can start. And let me get an idea about like how depth I can talk about. Okay, you can start introduce whoever is willing. Okay, Kavya. Tracy. Like you have biological science background, or Nandu Reddy.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. This is Nandu Reddy.
Good morning. So you have another PG, or this is the
No,
first
sir.
PG? This is the first
Yes, sir.
UG.
This is the first UG, sir.
Okay. So intermediate without any background. Okay. From which background you are?
By PC.
By PG. Okay, done.
Sir.
Okay. Anyone? Tuksana? Srikari?
Yes, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
So basically, I'm from BIPC. I've done +2 at DPS, and I've done a little of psychology as my optionals in 12th.
Okay, okay, done. So you already got an exposure to that. Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Nice. Pujita? Vignesh? Vaishnavi? Okay, you might be aware of the dates which were given. So you have got a total of 10 classes. So this is the first class. So to begin with, so I would like to know, so what is this particular subject psychologist talking about? You got an idea about that? Any one of you? Do you know
No,
anything
sir.
about psychology?
Not that much, sir.
Okay. Yeah, another thing, you all should mute yourself. Okay, for example, like someone is talking. You can also make it out, okay, but it's better that you all mute yourself. So generally they mute. Lecture would be from one side, and if you're interested to take any questions, no, then we will on. If you allow, no, then only you can talk. So I don't want that, especially because I want you to get interact in between. If you have anything to talk also, I encourage that. So that is the reason I'm not muting you. I have an option where I can mute everyone, but I don't want to do that. Okay, will that be okay, or it should be only from one side? So how you, in what way you're comfortable? Which one you think?
Two-way, sir.
Which one you think it would be better?
Two-way.
Two-way, okay, KP Wama.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, generally I prefer that. Okay, yes, I can mute everyone if I think it's a disturbance, or I can mute individual also, but I don't do that generally because I would like to know, like, okay, how much my students are getting the subject, or what is their comprehension. So that is the reason I don't generally do that. Okay, so my question is that, as a layman, or without entering into this particular classes, okay, what you got an idea about psychology? Because these days everyone is talking about psychology. Now, you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Child psychology, or like they're saying women psychology, boy psychology, girl psychology. In movies, especially, we find people talking about this. I know your psychology. That is. So, what particularly they're trying to talk about, or what idea you got about this particular
Study
word?
of mind and behavior, sir.
Okay, mind and behavior. Okay, good.
According to psychology, what I got is so that it means study of a soul or a mind or a spirit.
Okay,
Yes, and studying individual minds or mental process of a person.
okay, chalo. I accept as of
Yeah.
now.
Okay, sir.
Okay, good. Any other one?
The study of human consciousness.
Human consciousness. Good, good.
Psychology is study of human behavior and their mindsets.
Okay. Human behavior and their mindset. Okay, okay. Anything else? Anyone? Good. Mindset, consciousness. Someone talked about a soul. Okay. Someone said about okay the other things. Good. Okay. Anything else? Okay, Srinivas, what do you think psychology is about? Okay. The word psychology is been derived from two words. Okay, two Greek words. Okay, psyche and logos. Okay, please write down Psyche, psyche, plus logos, Logos. Okay, if you're not able to write down also, no problem. So whatever we were talking, it would be from your the material which is provided to you. Okay, so you need not worry. So this particular word psychology is being derived from two Greek words. Okay, your voice is not clear. Is that clear? Is that same with everyone?
Yes, sir.
Is my
Yes, sir.
voice is not clear?
It's
It's
clear,
clear,
No,
sir.
Okay, just check it out. Okay, sometimes your net can be slow. So that is the reason whenever yes sir, not clear. Is it same with everyone?
we can hear you, sir.
Maybe now it's clear, sir. Srikari. Okay, sometimes no, your net can be slow or your headphones or something else can be having problem. Okay, it's clear, sir. Okay, done. Murthy also saying it's clear. Okay, so begin with the word psychology derived from two Greek words, psyche and logos. Okay, psyche is soul. Logos is study. So when you combine what it is, psychology is psyche is soul, logos is study. So what it is becoming?
study of soul. Study of soul.
Yeah, study of soul. So by the word or etymological meaning. So initially they thought of, or the subject was confined, or they have come up with a definition which is talking about study of soul.
Soul.
Okay, but at this present condition, in the 28th or 21st century, okay, what do you think? Can we define soul? Can we define soul?
Inner voice of a person.
Soul is inner voice of a person. Okay. Did anyone see that?
No.
Yes, we talk much about that. Okay, especially when it comes to movies and all that. Okay, yes, it's very much visible. They also show with the colors. We know how they appear. You agree with that? In movies, they try to give a picture for that. Okay, the appearance for that, and okay, if I ask you, okay, simply you can also remember and you can also tell that, okay, what a ghost or what a soul looks like, okay. It's like something going away, coming up. Okay, but when we're talking about psychology, psychology is a scientific study. Logos is study, zoology. Okay, like zoology. What is zoology? Zoo is animals, ology is a study.
Study of animals.
Yeah. So likewise, it is also equally a science as we talk about other. The pure science is what we believe or what we think to be. So if you ask about science, so what generally you remember about? Which particular subjects you remember about? So maybe as a
Physics,
school,
chemistry, math.
yes, at school level, maybe you might have
Chemistry,
studied about some
biology.
subjects under sciences now.
Physics, chemistry, biology.
Yes, botany, zoology, or like for example, biology. They're talking about, as we know, physics and chemistry. So this psychology is also equally a science as we talk about the other what we think like a pure sciences. Okay, that is the reason I said zoology. Zoo plus logos. So likewise, psychology. Okay, so it is a scientific study of souls as per the word or etymological meaning. Okay, it was initially under philosophy. So have you ever heard about this particular word philosophy?
Yes, sir.
Philosophy. So any idea about philosophy? Philosophy talks about what?
It's the study of people's beliefs.
Okay. Okay, philosophy talks about knowledge, reality, and all that. Okay, so it was one part of philosophy. It was studied under philosophy. Then, okay, knowing about or giving the importance of the subject, what this particular branch is studying about. So they have separated psychology from philosophy. So at the time, they have come up with this particular definition, which is psyche plus logos, which they are referring to as study of soul. Okay, but as we know, can we study souls, or do we have access to souls?
No.
No, sir.
Is a normal person can look at, or are they visible to everyone?
No, sir.
Yes, the same question was arised. Okay, so there were opposition. Okay, as we know, the scholars are, okay, who are thought to be pioneers or the famous people from this particular field who were studying about this particular behavior. So they have opposed and they said, so study of soul is not appropriate because we're talking about a science. Okay, science is the collection of knowledge, okay, which is verified, okay, which is collected, which have empirical evidences, okay, where we can, okay, conduct an experiment or make an observation, okay, go about with the collection of data or readings, and if you analyze that particular data, okay, we arrive at certain generalizations, okay, and these generalizations are by and large, okay, verifiable. For example, if water boils at 100 degrees centigrade, if it is a well established fact, okay, if keeping the conditions similar, if anyone try to boil, so it will be boiling at that particular temperature, whatever it has been mentioned, okay, keeping the conditions similar. Okay, can we verify that? For example, ice. So when will water turn into ice? At what temperatures?
At 0 degrees Celsius.
Okay, so whoever is trying to bring temperature of water to 0 degrees, can they observe this particular phenomena of turning water into ice? Or only scientists can do that?
Everyone can see that ice turning,
Yes,
water turning
yes,
into ice.
yes. So that is a verifiable, okay, knowledge, which is a science. Okay, so science is talking about, okay, facts. Okay, these facts or knowledge is established, okay, over through experimentation or observation, and which can be verified. Okay, in the same way, so this particular psychology is also a scientific study. So they cannot study souls. So that was a question. So you agree with that? Yes, it's true that we cannot maybe look, see, okay, souls, etc. And what objection they have raised at that particular time period was right. What do you think? Was that right? Objection regarding souls cannot be studied.
Yes, sir.
You agree
According
with
to
this?
me, it's right, sir. I agree with it, sir.
Yes. So this is what the opposition have come up. So people or the scientific community, they said we cannot study souls, etc. So this particular word, by what they're trying to tell, study of soul is not fitting. Because we're talking about a science or an objective way of studying knowledge. We would like to collect some information, make analysis, okay, which is verifiable. But this particular, what we're talking about, subject matter of souls, etc., cannot be objectively studied. If someone is believing, if someone says, I can see, it may not be true with everyone. You agree with this? So that is the
Yes, sir.
reason. So this particular definition of soul was not agreed upon. Then some of the scientists, they have come up with another explanation saying it is mind. It's better that we don't talk about souls, but we can talk about mind. So someone have come up with that particular definition. Okay, now as we are into most developed, scientifically developed also. Now, if we have to define mind, so what explanations can we give for that? Or what do you think mind would be? Yes, Murthy, what do you think mind is? What? Because I can see Murthy's face. Yeah, what do you think? So mind, so are they talking about brain? Or how you define particularly mind? Is mind visible to everyone?
No.
Can we look at that?
sir.
No, sir.
So there was no clarity. They said soul, okay, soul was not agreed upon. Then they said it is mind. So there was a confusion. Are they talking about a brain structure, or anything else? So it was also not agreed upon. So people cannot arrive at a conclusion saying what particularly they mean by mind. Then they have come up with another concept called as consciousness. Okay, consciousness. Okay, now what can be a consciousness? Conscious mind, you know, or how many states of mind would be, or how many states? Okay, if we talking about conscious, what would be the other one?
Subconsciousness.
Conscious mind.
Completely opposite would be unconscious. being conscious, being aware of. Completely opposite would be unconscious. Then they have come up with a part in between, which they said partially being aware, okay, and partially not being aware, what we called as subconsciousness.
Subconscious.
Okay, so but they have confined it, or they were talking about only consciousness. They were talking about only consciousness. Then the other scientists or psychologists, they said, okay, behavior can be getting influenced by the rest of the parts also. If you're talking about only consciousness, what a person is aware of, maybe that is not appropriate. Because, for example, Sigmund Freud. So, have you heard about Freud?
Yes, sir.
Freud psychology they're talking about in movies also. So, what particularly they mean by this particular unconscious? We're saying we're not aware of that completely. But can it have influence on this particular behavior of a person? Then someone have also come up with another concept called as subconsciousness. So totally, Sigmund Freud have said that, okay, conscious, unconscious, and in between we have subconsciousness. But at one point of time, they were only talking about one part, which is called as consciousness. Then, as we know, some people would be there. Okay, they said, okay, why we are only talking about consciousness? What about this unconscious and subconsciousness? So this is how the definition, or what were they talking about consciousness, was also discarded. They said it would be better if you have a overall look of conscious, subconscious, okay, and also unconscious. And especially Sigmund Freud is a person, psychologist, who have come up with a complete innovative thought, and he said like, okay, most of our behavior is getting influenced, or it is controlled by, okay, unconsciousness, which we are not aware of. Okay, so this is how from soul to mind, they said, but they could not define it clearly. They could not agree upon what they particularly mean by mind. So then they have shifted it to consciousness. Okay, from consciousness, okay, as we know, conscious, unconscious, subconscious was there, and especially Sigmund Freud was talking much about the unconsciousness. So he says whatever, okay, abnormalities or whatever we are, it's because of the influence of unconsciousness. So then they talked about whatever is the observable behavior. Okay, whatever we can observe, that is the consciousness. But Sigmund Freud also said what we won't observe, the one which is not visible, like for example, through our actions, through our movements, etc. But there is another part which is not visible. Okay, they call covert and overt. So together we need to study, and this is how they arrived at a definition, the present definition, which they're saying about study of behavior. Okay, what this particular psychologist studying about? Study of,
Study of behavior.
okay, behavior of a person as well as, okay, animals also.
Animals.
Okay, so mostly when we talk about, okay, animals, so they are, okay, studied under a separate field of psychology called as comparative psychology. So they are used to know certain, okay, behavioral or personality traits, so how they would be, how they develop over a period of time. So mostly when we're talking about psychology, so we are trying to talk about behavior of a person. Okay, so what is the present definition of psychology?
Study of behavior and animals. Behavior of a person and animal.
Yes, Okay, so study of behavior of a person by and large. Yes, we do talk about animals, but there is a separate field of psychology which is called as comparative psychology. There they try to study animals also, and they try to know about so how learning takes place, so how we can uh, teach them certain new skills, so how certain things get influenced, etc., on animals. So mostly under psychology we would be talking about behavior of a person. Okay, then the next question is that, is it a science? What do you think? Is it a scientific study?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Sir.
ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can we study it objectively? Objectively in the sense without any bias, without
I guess
any
no.
chance factors. As we know, or as we talked about, science is a set of or established body of knowledge, facts, okay, which are well established, okay, which have empirical or uh, data or experimental, okay, readings, or what we call records, which can be verified. As we talked about certain examples, a well established fact, a well established knowledge which can be verified later on. Okay, so do you think psychology is also or can be called as a science? Are we looking at people and saying, okay, this person is that X, Y, Z, or we try to study people and we're trying to tell, okay, what type of a person he can be? Is it palmistry? You looking at just, okay, the palm of a person, or looking at face reading, and you started telling, or you start telling about, okay, what type of person he can be, what he can be, what, etc., X, Y, Z. Do we do that in psychology, or what generally you think that? What will happen in
No,
psychology?
that's not psychology.
So we're not just looking at people and just telling. Okay, if a person is not happy, everyone can say that the person may be having a problem. He's not happy. In fact, the person may or may
अरे
not be.
जाओ जी वॉशरूम खुला है जाओ
Arshia, we all are listening to you. Yeah. So we're not going with that particular methodology where we're looking at certain things and we start taking. Okay, there are certain well-established techniques and methods to study both the thing which is observable outside and also which is not visible, that is unconscious and subconscious, also can be studied with some well-established techniques and methods. So definitely psychology is a science. You agree with this?
Yes, sir.
So what is psychology? Psychology is a scientific study of behavior of a person. Psychology is
Scientific study of a behavior of a person.
yes, it is a scientific, not a pseudo or semi-scientific, or not completely unscientific, but it is a scientific study of behavior with special focus on especially human beings. Okay, then you should be able to define what particular you mean by behavior, because we're talking about behavior of a person. So according to you, what can be behavior?
It is a type of human activity, sir, like directly observed.
Good.
Mentally or bodily.
Good.
Yes, so like emotions and all.
Good. So as your friend is saying, so when you're talking about behavior, a set of selected behavioral patterns. So behavioral patterns can include both our actions which are visible, our movements, okay, what we are saying, and also we're talking about what is internal, that is the mental process. For example, If a action we can see, so what is the reason or what is going behind that? So we try to study both physical as well as the mental aspects of a particular behavioral patterns or actions or movements. So this altogether is called as behavior of a person. So is it clear about behavior? What particularly we're talking about? So it is about both the physical, visible, as well as the mental or the not visible parts of what is going on with the person. So to conclude, science is a collection or set of well-established knowledge, principles, etc., which can be verified because they have certain data or facts to verify. In the same way, psychology is also a science because we try to study objectively without any bias, without any chance factor, what the behavior of a person. So that is the reason psychology is a scientific study of behavior. So when you talk about behavior, behavior is a one selected particular task or a pattern of the activities or certain pattern of behavioral activities which are visible as well as which are the reasons behind that, that is both mental and physical concepts or parts of what action a person is doing. Then scope of psychology. So what do you think? So what kind of the limitation of this particular subject, psychology, where it can be used? So speak out where this particular psychology can be used.
Can be used anywhere.
Excellent, excellent. It is wide or wider scope. So when we're talking about people, so wherever people are, human beings are there this particular psychology exists, because it is about the behavior of person. So where people are, so there psychology will come into action. You agree with this?
Yes, sir.
So where people are there, everywhere psychology have a role to play. So scope is very, very wide. So that is the scope. Everywhere, for example, teaching, education, talking about learning, etc. I'm not trying to go deeper with this because following would be the different applied fields of psychology where we can talk where this particular psychology is applied. So that is the reason I'm saying, and I'm trying to tell that the scope of psychology is very, very wide, because we're about to see what are the different applied or the basic fields of psychology. So that will give you, so where all this particular psychology or the principles or knowledge of the psychology can be used upon. Then we have aims of psychology. So what is the goal of this particular subject called psychology? So I'm talking about 1.4 aims of psychology. So generally there are 4.
To understand the behaviors of people.
Good. Yes, yes. So please write down: describe, explain, predict, and control. Describe is about understanding behavior of a person. So it is talking about, you try to describe what all we are looking at, what we call as behavior of a person. So how we try to understand behavior of people? By gathering information.
Sir, not audible.
By gathering or collection of information with regard to what is happening. My question would be, so how you gather information with regard to what happening with the person? Like what all different methods we can use? By looking at a person, can we come to know what's happening with the person? What are the behavioral activities, the pattern of actions of a person? Can we try to know that?
Maybe externally, but not internally.
Okay. So there is a method called observation. You are just not looking at, but we are trying to make observation. So when you go to hospital, they say, no, you are under observation. So when they say the person should be kept under observation, what they are trying to tell you? Is that they are trying to just look at you?
They
No.
watch our sciences, what we are doing.
Actually, symptoms, they are observing what kind of symptoms they are undergoing
Good.
in hospital.
A selected set of patterns they are trying to look at. For example, if rise of temperature, so they are trying to look at, is the temperature getting raised maybe over the 6 hours, okay, the next 6 hours or 12 hours. You agree with this? So they are looking at one particular selected parameters. You agree with this? What we call as symptoms. For example, someone said the word symptoms. So in the same way, so when we make an observation, so this is how you try to gather information. So how frequently my particular student is getting aggressive, or how frequently my particular student is learning. So what particular style is adapting. So this is how making an observation. So you try to describe, understand what is going on with the particular behavioral aspect. Then the second one is explain. So explain is you trying to look at, so what is making a person to do or show that particular behavioral pattern. So what is going behind? Okay, for example, if behavior is taken as a response, so then they're trying to look at what is making a person to show that response. Okay, so that is called as a stimulus or the environment. The environmental factors or aspects which are provoking that particular response is called as stimulus. So for that particular stimulus, so what is the behavioral response? Okay, so they're trying to explain the phenomenon. Okay, the example what they're given is the classical conditioning. So do everyone know what is classical conditioning? Even Pavlov, experiment with dog,
Yes, sir, I know that.
because maybe at school level also everyone have this particular concept, maybe under classical conditioning or reflex actions hoga, if I am not wrong. So Pavlov made an observation that so whenever food was about to serve, what generally dogs would do?
Excrete saliva.
Okay, the secret saliva. For example, even human beings also, when they could smell their favorite dishes, okay, what they try to do? Is it provoking anything?
Yes, sir. The same thing.
Yes. Okay, it doesn't mean that we're trying to compare to with that particular animal, etc. Okay, so the mechanism, what is going behind. So he made an observation that okay, whenever the thought of food or food was serving, so they started salivating. And during the process of this observation, he also observed that when the particular person who is serving the food, so even dog, if without food, if it is seeing that particular person, They are also giving the same response of salivation. So you have observed that when food was given, it is about to salivate. Okay, when if it is seeing even the person who was about to serve food, it's starting giving the same response of salivation. So this is how you have come up with a conclusion that the person or the associated object can evoke the same response of that of food, because he made an experimentation with that. So he have substituted the person. If you think that, okay, dogs can identify a person, and if they know that this particular person is serving food, maybe looking at that particular person, they are giving this response of salivation. So you have replaced that particular person with a bell. So whenever food was about to serve, he used to ring a bell, then food was served. So over a period of time, dog have learned that whenever there is a bell, so what would be the occurrence? What is about to happen? So what
Dog
did
is
it
going
learn?
to excrete saliva.
Okay, so the dog have learned that, okay, food is about to get served. Food is about to get served. So person, if you think, okay, person, okay, is taking care of it, or if he's serving the food, okay, it is natural to give a response of salivation. So you have replaced that particular person with a bell. So even for bell, the dog have learned that, okay, the food would be served, and it started giving the same response of that of salivation. So this is the stimulus, and the response is salivation. Okay, food is a natural one, unconditioned one. So when looking at food, obviously the dog would salivate. Maybe looking at a person who is serving the food, looking at that particular person, is coming to know that, okay, food would be served. So we have changed this to a completely unassociated, no relative object like a bell or a sound. We used to give a sound, then food. So in no way the sound and food was related, but he could establish the relationship between the sound or a bell and the food and the behavioral response of salivation. Okay, so dog is to salivate whenever there is a bell. Okay, are we also conditioned like this? So in schools, if it is a long bell, what does it mean?
Might be lunch break also.
Maybe lunch break.
Or it's time to go home.
Go home. Good. Okay. Sheila, your voice is maybe okay, little bit disturbance. Okay, but what you said is correct. Okay, whenever there is a long bell, so we have learned over a period of time that it is a long bell, it's a time to either to go away or to have a bit larger break, that is maybe a lunch break. And so this is called as conditioning. So we can condition, we can establish, okay, a stimulus and a response. So stimulus response relationship, a SR relationship this. So if we know what is the stimulus and what is the response, so for this response we can try to explain what are the reasons for that, or what is the circumstances that is leading to this response. So that he calls as, or this particular subject we're trying to look at the explanation. It's not only talking about what a behavior is, but it is also trying to explain what all can be the reasons for this particular behavior. So description or describe and to explain. Then 3 is the predict. So can we predict behavior of a person? Yes, obviously. So if stimulus and response got established, so whenever there is bell, we can we predict
Yes.
what the behavioral responses is going to be?
Yes, yes.
Students will leave the class.
Yes. So this is how we can predict. with regard to this particular experiment of bell and the food dog experiment. So if there is a bell, so we can predict the behavior of the dog, that is, it is about to or it will salivate. For example, if it is a long bell, if you got conditioned to that, so we can predict what it's going to be. If you have conditioned for a red light, what a red light means?
Stop. Danger. Stop.
Stop.
If there is a red light, so can we predict what is going to be?
Vehicles should go
Maybe
into
a
stop.
beep sound, a red light on a signal. Can we predict if there is a red light? So what we are supposed to or what we are going to do? Okay, so this is how we can predict if we know what is the stimulus and what is the relationship between stimulus and response. So if we can predict what is going to happen, we can also control. Can we control that?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
So this is how, or these are what the goals or the 4 aims of psychology. They're trying to describe behavior. They're trying to explain what can be the reasons for this particular behavioral patterns. And also they're trying to look at, if what is the stimulus and what is the response, what is association between. If it is strong, so every possibility that there is prediction of behavior. If the stimulus and response relationship is weak, the chances might be less. So based on the bondage, so we can predict behavior of a person. So if we can also predict, if we try to control, we can definitely control the particular behavior of a person. So these are the 4 aims or goals of psychology. So up to here, you are clear?
Yes, sir.
Describing
Yes.
of behavior, trying to
Yes, sir.
explain what are the circumstances leading to that particular behavior. Okay, based on stimulus response, we can predict. If we can predict, we can also try to control. So controlling of behavior. If we know we are conditioned for certain sound, we can also try to uncontrol that. Okay, uncondition that. This is what they're talking about, controlling. So we can also try to control behaviors of certain things. Okay, then the next concept is about relationship of psychology with other sciences. Okay, so psychology and physical sciences.
Sir, I have one doubt, sir.
Go ahead.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah,
Sir,
Manusri.
sir, my name is Ganesh, sir. Like, that's my sister's name.
Okay, Ganesh, go ahead.
Sir, one thing, sir, like, if what you are saying is like general observation, and we are like reacting to the general people's reactions, right? Like you said, bell is ringing, people are moving away from the class, like that. But
Okay.
But people with certain higher levels of consciousness, they will not act generally, right? I mean, they will just create their own set of principles, and they'll not act accordingly to the external stimuli like other people around them. Then we cannot predict how they behave, right?
Yeah. So according to that, if we know,
Okay.
so why they are behaving like that? As you said, if they have the high, maybe developed,
For
or
example,
a set of principles what they
yes,
have
sir.
developed.
Yes, sir. I mean, like yogis or sadhus.
Yeah, they are exceptional, no? They are always
Yeah, they are
exceptional.
exceptional.
Yes, they are exceptional. So by and large, we're talking about average people.
Okay, yeah. That's about our psychology.
Yes. If someone
Okay.
is trying to get out of, someone have certain own established certain maybe certain principles, certain etc. So unless and until we try to touch upon those things, they will not agree upon.
Nice. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So relationship with other subjects like psychology and physical science. psychology, biology, psychology, physiology, psychology, logic, psychology, philosophy, psychology, sociology, psychology, anthropology, psychology, and education. Okay, so what this physical sciences would be talking about?
Sir, about the governing laws of matter and things around us.
Okay, for example, knowing, feeling, and
Yes, sir.
willing. Okay, so what psychology is talking about?
About the behavior, general behavior of living things to the external stimuli or anything around it.
Okay, the complete experiences of people. Okay, by birth, there is a concept called by birth we are born same as that of other people, but what we are is because of our interaction with the nature. You agree with this? What all experiences we got, okay, in what or which particular environment you were, so do we have the influence of that particular behavior on us? You agree with this?
Definitely, sir.
So what we are today, it's only because of what we got exposed to or what we have come across over a period of time. You agree with this?
Sir, completely, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is the relationship with the physical sciences. Physical sciences are talking about, okay, knowing, okay, feelings, willings, etc., which are part of our the overall experiences. What we're looking at psychology. Okay, the physical sciences and psychology. Biology. So biology talks about, in general, biology talking about
Bodies. What is
body,
happening inside?
body parts
Yes, sir.
or body organs.
How they work.
Okay, how they are working good. So do we have any influence of these biological parts on our behavior of a person?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Definitely, sir.
Most probably to mind.
Sir, everything has a chemical basis for it, sir.
Good.
Like everything has a chemical basis, right? Like there is psychiatry where if there is any unnatural behavioral changes, will like the doctor will be prescribing some medication, right?
Good.
So
So
yes, sir.
these chemical compounds are called as what?
Don't know the
Antivirus.
exact.
Secretions or the chemical compounds are called as hormones.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You agree about certain hormones have influence on behavior of a person?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So psychology and biology, good. Pujita is saying yes, good. So when we're talking at the relationship between psychology, that is the behavior of a person, and the biological parts, yes, there is a relationship because the chemical compounds, what you said, okay, called as hormones. So hormones can have influence on the behavior of a person. Okay, so that is the relationship. Psychology and physiology. Okay, you should be knowing about physiology. What physiology is? Functioning of, okay, body or the human system. Functioning. Biology, we talked about certain organs and their secretions. Physiology is how our body is working.
Sir,
Okay.
how does it make difference?
Yeah, physiology is how the body is functioning. Okay, based on the functioning, can our behavior get influenced? If some of the systems, if they are not working properly, if we say nervous system, can it have impact on the behavior of a person?
Yes,
Completely,
sir.
sir.
Okay, so we are not talking about nervous system damage due to accident, etc. Okay, if it is not functioning properly. Okay, if the physiology, the normal functioning, if it is getting disturbed, yes, it is certainly having an effect on behavior of a person, that is psychology. So functioning of body and psychology. Should always remember that psychology was the behavior of a person. So behavior of a person can be getting disturbed, can get influenced because of the functioning of, okay, body. Psychology and logic. So what logic would be talking about? So how to arrive at certain conclusions. You agree with this? How we can solve a problem?
Yes, sir.
How we can crack this?
Logically.
How we arrive at? Okay, they call deductive, okay, reasoning, etc. Reasoning, logic, etc. Certain way of doing, arriving at. Okay, then with regard to psychology,
Sir,
logic can be a part of, okay, so what we look at the mental process. Psychology is talking about complete mental process like thinking, reasoning, okay, knowing, etc. And this logic is only a part of what we call as the overall reasoning or thinking process. So psychology and logic is only a part which is giving a lead to how to arrive at conclusions. Okay,
sir,
deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning. Okay, Manu, you go ahead.
Sir, can we include emotional behavior in the psychological behavior?
Emotional intelligence, you're talking about.
Yeah.
Emotional behavior.
Yeah, like the emotion thing. Can we, like, where, like, generally where emotion starts, logic seems to end, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Like, both comes under the same part, but we just deal it differently. I'm asking.
Yeah, here they're trying to tell that psychology is a broader concept, which is talking about complete mental process like thinking, reasoning, higher order abilities. Logic is only a part. Okay, so psychology and logic is how to arrive at certain conclusions, but psychology is talking about overall mental process. Okay, so that is the relationship with psychology and logic. Psychology and philosophy. So philosophy talks about our existence. So what is reality? What is knowledge? Okay, so psychology is talking about, okay, the objective or the unbiased way of what we are. So whatever we are, it's because of our reality. So what you have learned, so what environment you are into, okay, what total experiences you had, so that is shaping your behavior. Philosophy is talking about the ultimate reality, who we are, what are we, so why are we like this. Okay, so psychology and philosophy. So psychology is talking about the overall existence of human or mankind. So psychology is talking about what we are at this particular moment and what all the reasons, as we talked about, as I said. So what all we have learned over a period of time. So what we are, it's been shaped by the environment where you were into, in which particular environment we have raised. Okay, so different certain factors like family, society, okay, all they have shaped us to the present condition. So psychology and philosophy. Psychology and sociology. So sociology is talking about society. Okay, so in psychology we have a applied field called social psychology. It's talking about so how society is changing us, or what is influence of society on the behavior of a person. Okay, so do you think society have influence on the behavior of a person?
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
definitely.
Definitely.
Because
Almost.
because we have
Almost.
an example like
Go ahead.
there are some
people who got raised by wolves and they got raised by some
Right.
in the wildlife and all. We have seen them like they have a lot of influence of those species. Even
Right.
though we have a lot of consciousness in our brain and all those things, still according to your what the class you have said, sir, the environment and the social factors are affecting a lot.
Yes. Or in
As
simple terms, like effect of society, like Western society, or like maybe our Indian culture. Okay.
yes, sir.
So what we are, there is much influence of that. Okay. Anthropology. So anthropology talking about evaluation. Okay. How we got evolved, civilizations, etc. Okay. Psychology is talking about the behavior. Okay. So how this evolution have impacted the behavior of a person. Then psychology and education. So education is talking about what? Or what do you mean by education? Learning. So how we learn, okay, etc. Okay. So there is the applied field, educational psychology. We'll talk about that. Okay. So where psychological principles are used to make learning effective. So how learning can be made effective, etc. Okay. So psychology and relationship of education. So this we can look under education psychology, where the principles of this particular so-called psychology are extensively, okay, by and large used, where we're trying to make learning more meaningful, more effective, or more efficient, okay, with the principles of psychology. So psychology and education are also very much related. Okay. Then we have basic and applied fields of psychology. Maybe it's already 11:10 now. You, if you got another class, it will get disturbed. Okay. So we will wind off here and we will continue tomorrow. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
Sir,
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Thank you.
Mrs. Sudhayar, I just have a question.
Sudha Mary.
Yes, sir.
What?
So, yeah, I have another same class at 10 to 11. I have another class as well aligned. So, how to, I can't attend both, right? So I
Yes,
attend
yes.
psychology and I have another subject at the same time itself. So do
You
I
need
have to?
yeah, you need to check with the department because I don't know about much about that. Okay. So they have scheduled and they have sent me the link. So I'm this is how the classes are going on. Maybe you check with your department once. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Or maybe you need to adjust, or like for example, if the class is starting a little bit late, no, you can continue here, etc. Okay. You try to talk to the department. Okay. They will tell you something.
Okay, thank you.
Chalo, all see you.
See you, sir.
Hi, sir.
Chalo,
bye-bye.
chalo. Bye.
Take
Take
care.
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you, sir.
You're all
Thank you,
welcome.
everyone.
So, from when do we have practicals? I guess sir left. Yeah.
Yes, he left the class.
Even I do have another class now. Do you have any idea how to do that?
Yeah, there is a helpline. You can contact them.
Okay, thank you.
So once we contact them, they'll give the information about the same.
I think you are for commerce, right? Commerce 10.
He's talking to me.
KP Verma before she asked out.
Yeah, what's
About-
that? I'm sorry.
Actually, you have commerce 10, right?
No. I have psychology and journalism.
Okay. Okay, then it's not showing for me journalism. You can have to contact them.
Yeah, okay.
Even for me also, like both classes are sorted out in one time, like 10 to 11 for journalism.
But then there's also live on YouTube. I guess that'll. I mean, if that is premium, then we can see it in that also. I guess.
Yeah. There is
I'm
definitely.
checking it now.
Yeah, the only thing is with the YouTube, you cannot ask doubts and all. That's
Yeah,
it. But
yeah.
you can go through the recording. No problem.
Yeah,
did
maybe
someone
at least we can
recorded
listen to
the
it.
section?
No. If it is recorded, we would be getting some notification. You are being recorded, and it will ask you something like that.
When I try to record the section, like it's asking the host permission.
Yeah. Then I think we can unmute the mic and we can ask the sir itself. Sir, please record the class.
Yeah, it will be helpful for us, right?
Yeah, definitely.
In the future. From next
Yeah.
class, think maybe from tomorrow we can ask sir for the same.
Definitely.
Got it.
Yeah.
And like,
Fine.
do we have any WhatsApp group for this thing?
Somebody kept it in the chat. I guess we can do that.
Yeah, we can add people now itself if you want.
Yeah, it's good. Like we can get the information on the same, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Probably on the not in the mail or something like that. You can get the information in WhatsApp if someone sees the
Definitely.
information.
Yeah. Some would be
So
knowing, right? Some information earlier than everyone.
yeah. Who's taking the initiative to create the WhatsApp group? Like
There's already a link in this chat. Once go through that.
okay.
Bro, I just send the link right now.
Yeah,
You can check
Nandu
it.
edited it.
Okay. So it's like student created, right?
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
1 second.
Can someone share today's notes in the class group?
You mean handwritten notes?
Yes.
Nothing
If
like
it's
that.
possible.
Actually, I was overconfident with the recording itself and also with the books. So I did not do anything like that.
Okay.
But I think at least one or two must have written that. So we can ask them. So in the next class, I think we can, like, at a time we can talk with everyone and we can ask them to join the group.
Okay. Bro.
Do anyone know about practicals?
No idea.
No, I contacted the study center, but those people are saying that we'll inform in the WhatsApp group, but it's not yet informed, and year is passing by. So, no idea about it.
Any idea about our exams?
Yeah, definitely April and May, but
What's
I
that?
don't April and May, but not I don't know the exact date, but April.
So the
April
first sem, right?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, then. Thank you.
And one more thing, it was very good to hear from that sir side. Like he said that all the 6 semesters will be done in 3 years itself. Like we are not gonna take anything extra, half year or so for the late period. Nothing.
Yeah.
So that's a very really good thing.